Sinai and receive the commandments. God is going to speak to us. All right. Actually, speaking to us all the time when we learn. Baruch atah Adonai, shahakol Baruch.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Okay. Vayishma, and he heard. Everybody has it in there. Yeah, you got the. Okay. He heard. Who heard? Yisro. Who's Yisro? We already had him. We had him in Parsha Shmois, right? This is the fifth Parsha. We had him in the first Parsha. He married. His daughter married Moshe. All right, so we had there. And who is he? The Torah is telling us Kohen Midyan. He is a Kohen, which means a leader of sorts, right, of Midyan. Chayse Moshe, the brother-in-law, the father-in-law rather of Moshe, Es Asher Os Elokim. What did he hear? So after we have the introduction of who he is, two things about him. As Asher Asa, that which all, Kol Asher Asa, that all that was done, Elokim, God, LaMoshe Israel, for Moshe, Ul Israel, and to the Jewish people, Amai, his people. For he had God taken out Israel from Egypt. Rashi, Vayishma Yisro, and Yisro heard Mashmu Shama Uba. What did he hear that brought him to come? What was it that had such an effect on him? Kriyas Yamsuf and Milchamas Amalek. He heard about the dividing of the sea and the war of Amalek. Of course, kind of there's a question that the Rebbe has. What do you mean? The verse says that he heard what was done from Moshe, that they were taken out of Egypt. So it's Rashi saying here about dividing the sea and the war against Amalek. How does that make sense? But not for now. Huh?
It's the etc.
Why about etc.?
Like if the pasuk would have said etc.
Yeah, but the verse says, the verse doesn't say etc. So, okay, so it's a question. That wasn't an answer. If the verse said etc., but it doesn't. Why does Rashi say that? I mean, the verse says it because it took out of Egypt. How's Amalek, especially Amalek, come in there? Right? That was seemingly extraneous, like out of going out of Egypt. It's after the fact. You might want to say the splitting of the sea because, but you can't say that about Amalek. Anyway, that's not for now. Sorry I brought it up. Now you won't sleep. Okay. Rashi continues, Yisro, Shiva Shemas Nikrolai, he was called by 7 different names. R'ul Yeser, Yisro, Chever, Kani, Putiel, those are the 7 names. Yeser, Al Shem, so he explains, Yeser, he was called Al Shem Shita Parsha Achas, because Yeser means extra, more, because he caused one more passage of the Torah to be written, which is Vata Terze, and you see, which will be later. Yisro Kishen is Kiyam HaMitzvahs. He's called Yisro because when he converted to Judaism, a letter was added to his name. So to the word name, Yisro. Chayviv Shechivim is the Torah. He was called Chayviv because he was a lover of the Torah. Chayviv is who Yisro. Chayviv is Yisro. As the verse says, as in the book of Judges, it says his name Chayvev. And those that say the Reuel was not actually Yisro, but was the father of Yisro. And what is therefore is the meaning that which says regarding the daughters of Yisro, Tavayel Reuel Abihem. And we had, I mentioned to you in Parshas Shmois that it there does say the name Ruel, right? That means it's the father, not the grandfather. Shatinekas kain lavi avihem abba, because the young children called their father's father, father. I don't know if that explains it exactly. If they went to their father. Okay. Chayse Moshe, he is the father-in-law of Moshe. Kan haya Yisro miskabed b'Moshe. Here Yisro felt himself honored through Moshe. Right, to say Ani Chayse Melech, as if to say that I'm the father-in-law of the king. But in the past, Moshe attributed the greatness of his father-in-law. As the verse says earlier in Parsha Shmos also, that he returned to Yisro, his father-in-law. Right. Interesting. Okay. Why Rashi has to point that out exactly? I guess, okay, showing that he's humbling himself before his son-in-law. Well, the Moshe, Israel, to Moshe, and in Israel, Shaul kol Moshe keneged kol Israel. The verse is coming to tell us that Moshe is equal to all of Israel, all of the Jewish people, right? As later on, Rashi will say in Midbar, Nasi Wakil, that Nasi is everything. As Kol Asher also, and that which all that God had done, lahem for them, beauty this Haman of a bear of Amalek, but He had done for them for the manna that came from heaven and the wellspring that journeyed with them in the battle with Amalek. Okay, there's obviously a connection with this Vayishma. Ki Hashem, because Hashem had taken out the Israelites, Zugdula al Kulam, and this is greater than all of the other things. But that's giving us a little hint of why Rashi, Vayishma, even though I guess it's because of, well, anyways, I'm not going to guess. I'm going to wait for that. To see the Rebbe Sicha if we have time. Okay, verse number 2. V'yikach Yisro, and Yisro took Chaysin Moshe, the father-in-law of Moshe, is Tzipora. He took Tzipora, which is the wife, Eshes Moshe, the wife of Moshe, after she was sent away. What does it mean after she was sent away? Rashi picks up on that. She lucheha. Kisha lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Midyan. When Hashem said to Moshe in Midyan, Lech shuv Mitzrayim, go return to Egypt. Right, and the Torah goes on to say, "V'yikav Moshe es ishtay v'ezmana," and he says he took his wife and his children. Right, he came with them. Yotza Aaron likrosei, but then it says that Aaron went out to greet him. And he met him by the mountain of God. Aaron said to Moshe concerning his wife and children, his sons, who are these? So he said to him, this is my wife, that I married in Midyan, and these are my sons. Right? So Aaron responded to him, Hey Chanata, where are you taking them? Let me try. I'm taking them to Egypt. On the first ones we are that are in Egypt already, meaning the Jewish people that are there, were already in pain because of their servitude, their slavery, and you're now bringing them to add them onto the pile that they should also be, I guess part of servitude. So as a result, he said to his wife, go back to your father's house. And she took her 2 sons and went off to go back to Midyan. But she shouldn't have to be in part of all of this. So now they're coming. So that's like about a year earlier, because the 10 plagues took a year's time, approximately. Each plague, 10 plagues were a month. Verse number 3. We're good? Gimel. Eis shnei vaneha, and the 2 sons. Asher Shema Echad, the name of one of them is Gershom. Ya'am Ager ha'yisi be'er Zachriah. Gershom Why is he called Gershom, which means a stranger? Because he had been a stranger in an alien land. Hashem Echad Eliezer, and the second one, and one was named, right? Means refers to the second one, but it means one. Eliezer, like Avi Be'ezri, because the God of my father is Be'ezri, is in my help. You have there Kale in his name, Aleph Lamed, it's God's name, and Ezer means help. And he rescued me from Pharaoh's sword. Rashi, verse number 4, that I was saved from the sword of Pharaoh. Shegalo Dasan Ba'abiram al Dvar HaMitzri, when Dasan Abiram revealed what he knew about the matter of the Egyptian that Moshe had killed, if you remember, also in Parsha Shmos, Moshe. And Pharaoh wanted to kill Moshe because Moshe had killed an Egyptian because the Egyptian was being ruthless over Jewish slaves. Nasit Savare, the Amud Shel Shayish. So Moshe's neck became a pillar of marble, and the blade of the sword could not penetrate it. Why is that the simple meaning of the verse? I don't know. Good question. Huh?
Yeah, because I don't understand that link and the son's name, the link between Eliezer and what happened here.
No, that link is clear because God was his help.
And he rescued me from Pharaoh's sword.
Right. So that's the link. Eliezer means God. God is my savior.
Yeah, but it seems as though he linked his son's name
So
to the fact that he was saved.
Okay. So yes. What's wrong with that?
Uh,
Well, he was saved. But why? Where's Rashi get that his neck turned into marble? How does he get that from the simple meaning of the verse? That's my question. That he was saved, okay. But how do you understand that simply from the verse? That's okay. That it seems to be more, at least the question that I see. First,
Says in the Rashi over here.
huh?
Says in the Rashi, there's some.
No, it doesn't. It does. No, it doesn't actually. It actually doesn't say it.
Don't say that?
No. Yeah, you're seeing where it's brought.
English.
Okay, in the English is not, look at the Hebrew. Hebrew doesn't say it. And even that's a question. Even that would be, even if he said that it's coming from the Medrash, right? So that's still a question on simple meaning of the text. How do you get that from the simple meaning?
But very often Rashi says things that are not the simple meaning. It's not.
Okay, but those are all questions. That's not an answer. That it just means it's not the only time.
I understand the question, just that it's not novel, that question.
Exactly. It's not, yeah. But here he does not bring that it's Shmo Yisrael. He does not bring that.
But Rashi
Translate.
often says things that are not Pshat, that are related to Pshat.
Anyway, that's the Rebbe's question is always that based on that. Okay, verse number 5. Yava Yisrael, and he came Yisrael, Chais and Moshe, father-in-law Moshe, Vanab, and his sons, the Ishtay, and his wife, El Moshe, to Moshe, Elamidbar, to the desert, Asher Hu Chaynesham, that he is encamped there, Har Elakim, the mountain of God. Okay, verse number 5. Elamidbar, to the desert, wilderness. We know that they were already in the wilderness, right? Because that was already stated beforehand. We had that in Har Elakim. One second. One second. So it says we already know that fact. Ella b'shivcha shel Yisro diber hakosav. But the Torah is saying the praise of Yisro. That's what the Torah is saying here. Shayesh b'chveidei shel olam. He was living in a very great place of honor in the world. Midbar. Yet he was moved in his heart to go out to the desert. Malcolm tell you, a place of desolation. Lishmai divrei Torah, to hear the words of Torah. Right? He wanted to become part of the Jewish people. He wanted to hear words of, actually it doesn't say that, it just says where he wanted to hear words of Torah. Yeah, interesting. By the way, it also, his sons came first here, and then his wife second. Before it was his wife first, and then his sons. So it switches that order. Rashi doesn't say anything. Okay. Yay, Meriel Moshe, and he said to Moshe, Yisro, I am your father-in-law, Yisro, that have come to you, and together with your wife and her two sons. Here, switched around. Moshe, and he said to Moshe, how did he say this? Rashi says, through a messenger, right? Since Moshe had not yet come out to greet Yisro at this point, Yisro could not have spoken directly to him. Mizrahi says, I am your father-in-law Yisro, meaning, Im ein ata begini, if you will not come forth to greet me on my account because I am your father-in-law, say begin, Ishtecha, come forth in account of your wife. If you're not going to come out in the account of your wife, say begin, come out on the account of her two sons. That doesn't make sense. He should have said, your two sons. Why her two sons? Right? I don't get that. I mean, the verse says that, but that seemingly, how does that make sense? Okay, Moshe, look at that. Moshe went out. So he knows that from the context, right? Because he went out, likras chesed, to greet his father-in-law. That's how we know that they didn't, that the previous time he wasn't saying it to Moshe. He was saying it through what? A messenger. Okay. Glad that someone is following. L'chaim. Let's all follow now. Moshe went out, likras, to greet Chesnai, his father-in-law, v'yishtachu, and he prostrated himself, v'yishakloi, and he kissed him, v'yishaloi, and he asked him, ishlarehu, a man to his friend, lishalom, peace. In other words, inquiring on his welfare, as it translates, right? The shalom, of course, means peace, but the welfare. And he brought him into the tent. And he brought them into the tent. Right, exactly. Okay, verse number 7. Moshe went out. Kavod Goldel Niskabed Yisro Vayisei. A great honor was accorded to Yisro at that time. Because Moshe went out to greet him, right? So Yatzar and Nadav, guess who else went out? Rashi concludes from the verse, Aaron, Nadav, and Avihu, two sons of Aaron. And whoever saw these great leaders go out, they didn't go out and greet, right? Others for sure. Others, that was a great honor to Yisro. He bowed and kissed him, right? So Rashi said, "Eni yadeya mi yishach v'lemi." He says, "I don't know who bowed to whom." But when it says a man to the other, to a friend, so we can understand mi yakari ish, who's called a man? It's Moshe. It's Moshe. Shenemar ish Moshe, as the verse says, the man Moshe. I took it in Bamidbar. We have that that Moshe is called Ish. Ish is a term of a man who has self-control. So who's that man? It's Moshe. In the context, how come I understood it?
It is one of the very rare situations where Rashi refers to himself as a first, like I do not know. Very not very rare.
Huh? He said, I don't know.
I knew.
No, he doesn't.
I don't know who prostrated himself to.
No, he's saying he doesn't know from the verse itself. You don't know who it's speaking. Although I don't understand because of the context. If it says Moshe went out to greet him, so part of the greeting was he bowed down to him. Why would you think that it'd be the other way around? Like I don't know why Rashi would think that. Now that's the way I read it, right? There's obviously something wrong in the way I read it, but I don't understand why. You follow my question? Huh?
Most subject here.
What? That's part of the greeting is you bow down to the person and you kiss them. And who went to greet who?
Such a great man that his father-in-law came and he's the one who led the Jews out of Mitzrayim, et cetera, and across the sea and fought Amalek, et cetera. So maybe he bowed down to him.
That's hard. I mean, in the context, I hear what you're saying, because of the context is speaking about but Rashi already brought down that sometimes Moshe was honored by him, and sometimes it's the other way around. So
So he says, I don't know.
okay, I'm still bothered by that. But let's continue. And he related, he told over the story, Moshe, to his father-in-law, also Hashem, all that which Hashem had done, Lefara to Pharaoh, or the Mitzrayim, to the Egyptians, Al Oidas Israel, on behalf, for the sake of Israel, all the travails, Hashem, Matzosam B'derech, that they met on the path, Hashem, and Hashem saved them. Rashi in number 8, verse 8, and he told over to his father-in-law to draw his heart to bring him close to Torah. That's what he was trying to do. Bring him close to Torah.
Have he at that point already converted?
Yes. Yeah. All of the trouble. What was the trouble? Shel Yam, or by the sea, right? Splitting the sea, Shel Amalek, and that of Amalek. Hatla. And he. So Rashi takes now the word Tla, and he says, Lamed, he's speaking now in the grammatical understanding of the word. Lamed Aleph Mina Yesoy Shalateva. The Lamed and the Aleph are part of the root of the word. V'atav hu tikun, and the tav that precedes it is not part of the root, but it serves to change the verb la'ah into a noun. Yisoid ha'neifel mimenu leprakim. It's the essential element of a noun form, which falls from it at times. In other words, that the word is in a form of a verb rather than a noun. And so too we see, regarding the tuf of nouns, truma, right? The word truma, which means to set aside, tnufa, waving, tekuma, resistance, tenua, turning aside. All the tufs over there are making it into a noun rather than a verb, and it's not part of the root of the word. Like the word truma comes from roim, to uplift, to rise up, right? Setting aside in that sense. Okay. So we got a grammar class just now. Okay. Verse number 9. Vayichad. Okay, the word yichad, we're going to see for Rashi, it's a interesting word, right? So here it translates rejoiced. Al kol ateva, upon all of the good, asher asa Hashem, that Hashem had done, Israel, for the Jews, for Israel, asher hitziloi, that which he saved him. Tziloi, not Silam, right, is him, not them, even though Miad Mitzrayim, from the hands of Egypt. So who's the him? Israel, right? It's just in the singular. I don't think Rashi picks up on it, but let's see. Okay, Rashi number 9. V'yichad Yisro, and Yisro rejoiced. V'yismach Yisro v'zeu b'shuftei. Rashi says so that he rejoiced, but this is a simple meaning, Midrash Agada, and for some reason Rashi has to bring this Midrash Agada, and he's not satisfied with what he just said, which that itself is a question, right? Yichad means Nasib Sarech Chidudim, his flesh became pricky, became goose flesh. Why? Meitzar al ibod Mitzrayim, he was aggrieved over the destruction of Egypt. Haina de imre inshe, and this is what the popular saying says: Giora aj asoradari loy tivaze arama be'ape. That when one converts or is a descendant from converts up to 10 generations, do not disgrace an Aramean, a non-Jew, in his presence. In other words, he still feels connected to where he came from, so don't say something negative to them. Why Rashi brings this? The Medrash? Who knows? I mean, who knows? The Rebbe knows, because the Rebbe, there's a sikh on this. Kol teva, over all the goodness. Teva, Haman, what's the goodness? The goodness of the man, the heavenly food, right? Va'be'er, and the wellspring. Va'teira, and the Torah. Interesting that he puts Torah last. Now, Kulan Sher Hitzila Miyad Mitzrayim, but above all of them, he rejoiced that he was rescued, that God rescued him from the land of Egypt, from the hand of Egypt, rather. Interesting. So he explains Rashi, until this point, no slave was able to escape from Egypt. Because the land was sealed up, right? Landlocked. And these Israelites, they left 600,000 strong. So in other words, that's the real good. Yisro said, Baruch Hashem. Psh, Baruch, blessed is God. That he saved you. Miyad Mitzrayim, from the hands of the Egyptians, and Miyad Parim, from the hands of Pharaoh. Interesting, Egypt before Pharaoh over here, right? Which always is Pharaoh before Egypt. That's very intriguing. Shehitzel is that he saved the nation mitachas yad Mitzrayim from the hands of the Egyptians.
The second bracha in the Torah, it's just the second bracha in the Torah, the multi-tzedek.
Yeah, L'chora. Yeah. Verse number 10, Shehitzel eschem miyad Mitzrayim, they rescued you from the hands of Egypt. Umakosha. This was I think Rashi is now answering the question. Why Egypt first? At the hand of that there was a difficult nation, a hard nation of Miyad Pare, and from the hand of Pharaoh, Melech Kosha, and a hard, difficult king. Mitachas Yad Mitzrayim, under the hand of Egypt. Kitargumoi, this means the word hand in the context over here should be understood the way Onkelos translates it. Marvas, Lashon Ridui Amorus. It's an expression of domination, of dominating over the Jewish people. Hayad sh'ayam mechabdim aleihim. So the verse refers here to the hand of the Egyptians that were lay heavily upon the Israelites. And this is the third appearance of the word yad in the verse is the labor. See, so it's miyad mitzrayim, miyad paray, and then yad mitzrayim. 3 times it says the word yad, hand, meaning the heavy labor that they had. I guess maybe that's why Rashi is saying, explaining why Egypt comes before Pharaoh, because the heaviness of it, right, in the end was directly, as a hand is directly upon you, so to speak, right, is directly from the Egyptians, not from Pharaoh. Pharaoh gave the order, but, he wasn't there doing the, supervision and whipping, right? And whipping the slaves and so on. That's how I understand how Rashi is explaining that. Ata, and now, Yadaiti, I know, Kikolo Hashem, that God is great. Mikola looking from all of the gods, Elohim, actually, it's not a holy word. All right. Ki bedavar asher zodu aleihem, because of the very scheme that they plotted against others, against themselves. Let's see Rashi, what that means. Ata Yadaiti, Rashi, in verse number 11. Now I know. I recognize God in the past, but now even more so. In other words, after, I guess, Yisro, right, he brought him into the tent, they had a discussion and everything. He told him everything, Moshe to Yisro, then now he really recognized. Not that he didn't recognize before, he did. That's why he came, right? That's why Rashi has to explain this. What do you mean now? All of a sudden now you know about God? That God's great? No, we knew that before. He knows it much more now, right? Because that's how you explain. That's why he came. He came because of the recognition of God. Nicole Elohim from all other gods. What does this mean? From all other gods? This teaches that he was familiar with idolatry in the world, of all of the idolatry. He did not leave a single idolatry that he did not worship in the past, right? He left all of that now, but he recognized he was engaged in all types of idolatry. Continue Rashi, for that which they schemed against them. This should be understood according to Onkelos. Meaning, what does that mean? The Egyptians imagined to destroy the Israelites through water. But they themselves were destroyed by the water, by the sea of reeds when it split. Okay. Asher Zadu, which they scheme. Asher Hirshiu, that which they did evil. That's the simple meaning. And then Rabbeinu Darshu Loshen, and the sages, they interpreted the word Zadu in a sense of the word V'yazed Yaakov Nazid, right? That in the word V'yazed Yaakov, that he cooked a stew. And the very kettle that which they cooked, they were cooked. As they came, right, to destroy them by the sea. And in the very same sea that they wanted to destroy them, in that kettle that they were making for the Jews, they themselves got destroyed.
How does he see a connection between the two words? One has a red, Zion Dalet, the other Zion Resh.
No, they're both huh?
Zadu, yeah, the Azer.
The verse is Zadu, right?
Right. And he's learning out from it that from Zadu we can understand the Azer.
No, but the root of it is Zed. Zion Dalid. It's the same root word.
But there's no Dalit in the Azer.
Yeah, no, yes, there is.
There's a Dalit right here.
It's a Dalid.
Oh, it's a Dalit.
It's a Dal, not a Resh.
Rachel.
No, it's a Dalet. Vayized, Yaakov, Nazed, Nazid. No, it's a Dalet. Okay. Last verse for today. Rashi Bikach Yisro, and Yisro took place of Moshe, his son-in-law, the father-in-law rather of Moshe, Oila, an ascent offering, Uzvachim, and peace offerings, Lelukim, for God. Yavai Aaron, and Aaron came, Echol Ziknei Israel, and all of the elders of Israel, Lechol Lechem, to eat bread, Im Chaysim Moshe, with the father-in-law of Moshe, Lifnei Elokim, before the presence of God. Rashi. And 12. Oile, an offering, an oil offering, Kimashma, as it's literally means. Oile means to ascend, like the word aliyah. Shehi oile kola means it ascends entirely on the altar. None of it is eaten. Uzvachim refers to peace offerings. Shlomim, Rashi says, peace offerings, which means part of it is eaten by the people. Aaron and the elders came, right? Moshe and halach. Where's Moshe? It doesn't seem to be part of this, right? It just says that they came. Is he not the one who went out to greet him and caused him all of this honor? So why is it not mentioned in the verse that he was one of the, people at the meal, guests at the meal? But Moshe was standing and waiting for them. No, he was there. He wanted to honor Yisro, right? He acted like a servant rather than a participant to honor Yisro. Wow. Interesting. Lifnei Elokim, before God. It's interesting, I didn't think that Moshe wasn't there. It says, Aaron came with all the elders to eat bread with him. But in a sense, it kind of is leaving him out, right? It should have said together with Moshe. The verse doesn't say that. So that's what's bothering Rashi. So Rashi says, because they were like guests to eat bread and he wanted to honor his father-in-law, so he served. Before God, Mikan, from here we learn that when one partakes of a meal of Torah scholars that participate, it's as if you've taken pleasure from the splendor of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence of God. Wow, beautiful. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Tanya's coming up. Okay, you know what? Let's take maybe just a brief moment here. See. So I gotta. Okay. So remember we had the question on Rashi, but what did he hear? Yishma Yisro, at the beginning of the parsha, right? That he heard, and Rashi said he heard about Kriyas Yamsuf and the battle of Amalek. So the Rebbe asks, why these two things specifically were the ones that aroused Yisro to come to Moshe and not going out of Egypt, and all of the miracles that happened.
He's saying, why does Rashi contradict the pasuk?
No, he's not saying, no, he didn't, no,
That's right, it's true.
no, he's saying, why isn't it because of the miracle going out of Egypt?
which is in the pasuk,
That's not.
which is in the pasuk.
I know, but
So
that's
that's what the
I-
Rebbe
that-
is asking.
no. He didn't. That's not what I just said, though. No, he's just asking on
I'm
the.
trying to say how I understand. How do you understand?
Okay,
How do you
but-
understand? How do you understand?
This one, what I just read didn't say that. It just said.
Didn't say that. I didn't say it said it,
Right.
but the pasuk says.
I understand.
because
I understand what you're saying, but let's first do that.
Understand what the Rebbe means.
So he's asking on the concept of it rather than the verse said it. It's a good question what you're asking, but that's not what it's saying over here. It's a good, it's a good question, but that's not what he's saying. Not the way I'm reading it
The
here.
inference is what I'm saying. That's the
Well,
inference.
Well, no.
Go on.
Anyway. Why does the Rashi bring these two things together as opposed to in the Medrash? It's two different opinions. But two different people. One says it was Kriyas Yam Suf, and another one says it was Amalek. And Rashi brings them together as if it's like, right. So we can explain that Rashi brought them together because this is what caused for Yisro, right? Kriyas Yam Suf caused what did the Kriyas Yam Suf do? The splitting of the sea. It gave great honor to the Jewish people because everybody knew about this, right? Everybody knew, and as the verse says, and
split all over the world. The water split many other places. So of course everybody wanted to know why did the water split, and they found out because the Jews crossed the dry land.
I'm not certain that I'm not certain that that's why. Not according to Rashi, at least. I'm not certain if
But
that's.
it became well known.
Yeah, it became well known. As we see in Oz Yashir, it says that. Shomu Amim Yirgazun, the nations heard, and they got upset. The Mega called Yeshvi Canaan that and brought a fear to those who settled in Canaan. So I'm not saying because it's split, but whatever, according to Rashi at least, right? Now, so as far as the Amalekis fighting against the Bnei Israel, this caused an opposite, right? Because the Jewish people were weak in the eyes of the nations. As it says, what is the metaphor of Amalek, that they were the first ones to go into a hot bath, right? And the first one who goes into a hot bath makes it easier for the second person to go into the hot bath. So Amalek started up with the Jews, which made it then easier for other nations to start up with the Jews, because he could start up with them. So it had the opposite effect. When Yisro heard all of this, he wanted to bring an action that would bring back the honor of the Jewish people as it was previously. Therefore, he came out to the desert to openly praise the greatness of Hashem, the God of the Jewish people, in order to uplift the honor and the virtue and the honor of the Jewish people in the eyes of the nations. When they see a Kohen Midjan, which also now explains why he was called Kohen Midjan, right? Right? Why was he, that he did all kinds of Avodah Zorah, right? That he is coming to honor himself, right? And leaving all of the idolatry behind, and he's recognizing the God of the Jewish people, that will bring great honor to the Jewish people. Psh, interesting. Okay. See you in a few moments.